Hi, welcome to Mayowa's World. Hi, y'all. My name is Mayowa, and on my channel, I talk about colorism, texturism, featureism. Today, we're going to be talking about featureism and why the girlies feel the need to change their very black noses. I have been thinking so much about noses lately because I have been seeing more and more celebrities get nose jobs or get different iterations of nose jobs and talk about nose jobs, and it's made me question my relationship to my nose myself. I'm somebody who, like, as a kid, I used to not like my nose, and I remember when I was like probably 11, I said to my mom, like, oh, I want to get a nose job. And my mom was like, she said to me, oh, so you don't want to look like us anymore. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, you don't want to look like us. You don't want to look like me. You don't look like your grandfather. Like, you have the nose of your grandfather. You have the nose of me. And I don't know, something about thinking of my features from an ancestral point was a really strong was this really strong motive in my life. And the deeper I've gotten into African spirituality and the deeper I've gotten into showing love and appreciation to my ancestors, the more I really, really just love my features. And I love how my face is like a map of different places that my ancestral lineage has been. And I just love that I carry all of that together. And I made a video on TikTok talking about my nose and how I have a downturned nose and how I really, really enjoy having the nose that I do. My favorite feature on myself is the fact that I have a downturned nose. I think downturned noses are so cute, and it's something that I had to grow to really like. As you can see from the side, you know what I mean? My nose is very close to my lip. And other people who have had downturned noses would be somebody like Usher. Future also has a downturned nose. Andre 3000 has a downturned nose. I'm trying to think about a lot of the girls, but you know, the girls be getting they nose done. So I don't know about that, but I like it because when I look at pictures of my ancestors, they had downturned noses. And I've literally had people guess my ethnic group to the area correctly because they're like, your nose. Like, I just like how it's a distinct feature that isn't shared with a lot of people. And of course, you know, society wants you to think that a pointy nose or a nose like this is so pretty. I like looking like the people who came before me, and I like that there's not a lot of space. Like, I just think even too when you draw it, it's just like so pretty. So yeah, where are the downturned nose babes at? You know what I mean? Let me see. I want to see. And how other people have a similar nose to me, and how it all makes us look kind of related. And people who I mentioned in that video were people like Erica Dixon, Cynthia Erivo, Shaka Khan also has a downturned nose. And this was just a word that I've made up some years ago to just describe the shape of my nose and how important it is to kind of see your features as just like a fun thing on your face. I'm also somebody who understands why people get nose jobs and why people change their features, because not everybody is treated the same in the world. Not every feature is treated the same in this world. And there's an expectation that falls hardest on people who are black and they are not meant to look as feminine as possible. And a lot of these features are essentially just making our noses look more Eurocentric. Usually they make it look skinny. Usually they bring it up. You know, these are the features that are celebrated in the world. And I think every group actually has insecurities around their nose. I think even white women know that even featureism for themselves is chasing an unattainable look. But like I said, it's going to fall the hardest on people who are black. And I also talk about how that affects people who are dark skinned, because femininity is stripped the most from black women, but even more severely from dark skinned women and femmes. I saw a video of Patti LaBelle and Stephanie Mills talking about why they got their nose done, and the person who facilitated them getting their nose done was actually Michael Jackson.
Miss LaBelle, when you got the nose job, did you get more gigs? Did it change anything?
I think it did.
Really?
Because it was more pleasant to some people.
Well, more hair
I followed her. Yes, I did.
So who did you follow? Who did you follow? Michael
Jackson.
Okay.
And I remember that first iteration of black nose jobs. I would say Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, the whole Jackson 5 got that nose. To me, that nose archetype looks a bit Skeletor, like it's very like skinny. And I know that nose jobs have changed a lot from now, from that time. And also, I remember hearing that Janet Jackson was, forced or got a nose job at 16 years old, which is wild. And that family, I feel like it seems like a rite of passage within pop culture for black girls to get a nose job. And it doesn't actually matter what kind of nose you had before. Everybody seems to have a nose that changes over time. We have recently seen Glorilla have a nose that changed over time. Literally every single pop girly that I see, they all look as if their nose have changed. Beyonce's nose looks like it's changed, in my opinion. Meg Thee Stallion's nose looks like it's changed, in my opinion. So these are all things that I just have noticed over time, that it doesn't matter what your starting out nose is. It's like you all kind of have to get this similar template of a nose. And some people's nose still ends up looking more like black, but some people's nose ends up looking like a completely different thing. And your nose is like a very central part of your face. I feel like it's actually the thing that makes you look the most distinctive. I think if you change your nose, it can completely change how your whole facial arrangement looks because it's at the center of your face. Imagine liking a painting and the middle part gets blurred out. It changes the whole look of the painting. And you know, my theory as to why nose jobs within Black pop stars are very popular is one that I think is a uncommon theory, but I think that the reason that a lot of times labels encourage Black women to get their nose job done, or I think the reason that they do this is because if you're willing to change your features, you will always be reliant on what someone higher up is telling you to do. Nose job symbolizes an eagerness to change whatever is necessary to be where you need to be, and also just the acceptance that the more Eurocentric you look, the more you're going to benefit from it. And even in the interview with Patti LaBelle, she was talking about how she actually did see a change in the work that she got when she got her nose job. So it's like, it would be obtuse for me to act like I'm not aware that getting a nose job can change your access, can project people's careers, can help them make more money, because we live in a world that encourages you to look and become as white as possible, as Eurocentric as possible. So like, it makes sense. I know that everyone should have the autonomy to do what they want with their body, but I think it's just important for us to know where this is coming from. So for us to see that how the nose jobs have changed over time and how different noses can become different fads. Michael Jackson nose was going hard in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s. But Michael Jackson nose now, like I've seen people get their nose done and people were making fun of them and saying, oh wow, it's giving a hee nose. You know what I mean? Because people now feel like that nose doesn't look cute anymore. I just can't imagine having a feature that can go out of fashion in 20 years. Like, I just don't like that, because I feel like when you have Black features, it's always going to be in fashion because people are always going to be looking like you. There's going to be another Black child that will look like you in the future. And it's also interesting too, because when we talk about featureism, people always say, oh, they're getting a nose job to have more East African features. And I think that's like an interesting concept, because there's like a stereotype that West Africans have like broader features, darker skin, more stereotypically Black features, and that East Africans have skinny noses, skinny features, slender faces and stuff. And this is just like eugenics, because East Africans can also have very broad features, big lips, big noses, dark skin, but there's like this light skinning that happens in the East Africa, where they make them seem like they all look kind of racially ambiguous or light skin, or kind of how like people, also similar to how we see Ethiopians, we're used to seeing very like light skin Ethiopians with looser hair textures. We don't typically see Ethiopians that are dark skin, or Eritreans that are dark skin with kinky hair, even though that is actually a lot of people in Eritrea and in Ethiopia. But just like this idea that East Africans kind of look like Ethiopians, like this stereotype of Ethiopians. But mind you, East Africans is also South Sudanese people. East Africans is also Ugandans. East Africans is also Kenyans. And these people can easily look like how West Africans look. You know, the features that people are talking about is the features that is beneficial within featureism. So like a skinnier nose, a tiny chin, a skinnier face, and your nose goes up and everything is just smaller and lighter. And like, that is kind of where people want Blackness to be. I'll find some models who I think kind of fit this feature. And a lot of people just kind of take the same look, and everybody just wants to look and have features similar to this, because they know that these features are rewarded and seen as beautiful in society. But for me, like I said, I get a lot of pride in being West African, having West African features. African Americans, Caribbean people also have these same West African features because they were taken from the west side of Africa. So these are the features that, you know, is demonized the most. But I like take really a lot of pride in that. And I've always liked looking like my ancestors. And that's something that genuinely gives me a lot of power and a lot of pride, because you cannot shame me for something that has existed before me and that will keep existing in the future. I'm not the first person to have a downturned nose, and I'm not going to be the last, because this is a feature that's just universally Black, honey. I have a universally Black face that's Black in every country, and I love that for myself. We were made to feel like we shouldn't love that. We were made to feel like everybody, you know, back in the day, everybody wanted to be mixed with something. And there's just so much power in just being like, I'm Black, and I'm so proud of that. And there's like, I am unambiguously Black. Like, there's not a confusion about it. And of course, you can still get these like nose jobs and still look fully Black. Like Patti LaBelle has a nose job and she still looks fully Black, but it is still like I said, that nose that she has was very much so that generation of nose jobs. Like, you can tell that she's had her nose done. And like I said, I also understand why. But I just think that there's going to be more and more messaging for us to change our nose, change our features and stuff. And I think it's important to turn to the people who look like you, and, you know, find ways to find ways to describe your features that feel good for you. Like for me, I like having a downturned nose. When I made that term up, it made me feel good about my features. I like having kinky hair. Like all these things about myself, I've just come to really enjoy it because it connects me to my roots, and I'm a rooted person, and that is the beauty to being Black. So yeah, let me know what y'all's relationship is to your nose, and where you're at with your nose journey. And thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.